Around 4:30 p.m. on June 29, 2022, El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure was operating normally. As Train A was dispatched from the station, everything seemed to be normal with the ride. Train A ascended to the top of the ride's cable lift hill and began to traverse the layout just as it had done hundreds of times already that day. When car 6 of Train A began to fall down the first drop, the back wheel axle suddenly became partially free above the tracks. Shortly after, it became completely free of the tracks. For the majority of the rest of the intense ride, car 6 was dragged along the layout with its upstop wheels on its back axle above the track rather than below it. This caused car 6 to almost fishtail around the layout. The extra friction caused by the back axle of car 6 dragging along the track caused Train A to valley slightly before the ride's final brake run. Though car 6 was loaded, no riders were injured. All were evacuated from the train, and the investigation into what caused the seemingly random accident began. The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs red-tagged the ride, meaning that it could not be operated without their approval, and began their investigation. The investigation would take the form of an engineering review, with Six Flags, the state, and the ride's manufacturer Intamin involved. The investigation found that Train A was free of any defects and was up to Intamin standards. They also found that all proper manufacturer-mandated inspections had been carried out on El Toro. After determining that Train A had not malfunctioned, the investigation turned to the track. Investigators checked the gauge of the track. This is the distance from one rail to another. They found that the gauge of the track changed only slightly throughout the ride, ranging between 33.125 and 33.25 inches. This was not enough of a difference to cause any significant issues. With this possibility eliminated, they moved on to inspecting the first drop, the area where the derailment occurred. They tested how the first drop behaved with the weight of a train by applying a hydraulic pressure of 1,800 foot-pound to the track at the top of the first drop. When this was done, they noticed that the track gauge increased by 3 millimeters. They then moved down the first drop to the location where the train derailed. Performing the same test here showed that the track gauge increased under load by 20 millimeters. This was enough for one of the train's wheel assemblies to slip off the track entirely. This was determined to be the cause of the accident. With the accident cause now known, the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs and Six Flags Great Adventure consulted with Intamin about changes to be made to the ride. They settled on adding new metal cross-tie supports that securely hold the track in place, not allowing for any significant change in gauge under load. These would be added to all areas of the track that experienced high uplift forces, such as on the first drop and on many of the ride's airtime hills. These would be added at varying distances depending on the forces experienced by a section of track. After these changes were made and the track was repaired in the areas damaged by the derailment, the ride began cycling to complete state testing. In early December 2021, El Toro underwent state recertification. This included Train A completing 50 cycles without any issues and undergoing accelerometer testing to determine if the ride was within G-force limits. The ride passed, and pending a successful annual ride inspection, will reopen this year. With the surprising number of ride accidents in 2021, this accident has often been framed as Six Flags doing a poor job maintaining a ride and then experiencing the consequences. In reality, this couldn't be further from the truth. Six Flags inspected and maintained the ride exactly as the ride manufacturer, Intamin, recommended. This accident did inspire changes to other Intamin prefabricated wooden coasters, and hopefully something like this never happens again. El Toro is now as safe a ride as ever, and I highly recommend riding it if you get the chance.